Welcome to our 2017 crop insurance update meeting. My name's Corey. I'm with KW Insurance in Sunburst, Montana, and we're going to walk you through the changes for the 2017 crop year pertaining to the multi-peril insurance. We're going to go through in pretty good detail what we expect the disaster programs to pay because people are obviously concerned about cash flow, and then through some general stuff with our agency. So the other things we provide, which Darcy and Holly do at our agency, is the home and auto insurance policies, farm and umbrella, life and commercial. If you have any interest in any of those products, please contact Holly or Darcy and they'd be more than happy to work through a quote with you guys. We have 2 locations now, one in Sunburst and there's also one in Shelby at the FSA building. They're open 5 days a week, 9 to 4 in Shelby and 9 to 5 in Sunburst. So what will we cover? First off, what's wrong with my chemical fallow? We've had a lot of issues on the chemical side of our business with the kochia nut dying in the chem fallow. I'm going to walk you through some pointers on how to avoid this problem and some changes maybe you'd want to look at making going forward. The revenue prices and their effect on your claims. There's a pretty substantial drop in the wheat price, especially in the crop insurance side, of about 25%, which we'll go through on some slides that may enhance your claim quite a bit. And then the big one, the PLC, ARC, and SCO payment predictions. Going to be some pretty good sized payments here in the middle of October for 2015's crop year, which we'll get paid for here in 2016. But then more importantly, going forward with these low commodity prices in 2017 in the fall, we're going to receive some substantial payments on PLC especially. So just will help with your budgeting here going forward with the bank and everything. And then of course the important changes to the crop insurance. So the first thing we're going to cover, what's wrong with my chemical fallow. We've had a lot of guys that were getting away with doing straight Roundup, just 24 ounces on some pretty big kochia and doing a pretty reasonable job on it. Anymore, we can't let the kochia get very big or it just gets out of hand because we're running into some resistant kochia issues. So the first thing you need to watch for is this pattern developing across your field. So if you start to see where there's kitty corner kochia pattern and everything else died in a field of chem fallow, that's the beginning of your resistant kochia issues. Obviously, this field is straight to the west of our office, and you can see there's a patch of kochia actually up here in the field that propagated this kochia plant that rolled across to the next strip over. You can see where everything else is clean except for this kitty corner pattern across there. That's a bad sign. The next year, if we don't address that with some chemicals that control resistant kochia, you'll end up with not one tumbleweed pass across there, but an entire field almost. It'll be a mess by the time that weed blows around. So watch for that. How to avoid this problem. Don't wait till the weeds are big. We can't kill big kochia, especially in chem fallow, consistently anymore. Banville or 2,4-D will kill kochia smaller than 3 inches tall, but does a much, much poorer job on the bigger stuff. So what happened this year, a lot of us got busy. The kochia got big. Then we went out with a decent rate of Banville thinking that would help control it, but it was too big for the Banville alone since the Roundup's not working on that stuff anymore. If the Roundup doesn't control it and it gets too big for these other 2 products, then you're basically down to paraquat. Seems to be the only thing that is working anymore on that big kochia. We've had some success fixing the bigger kochia with high rates of Roundup, like 44 ounces and 10 ounces of amine. That would be the first thing to try before doing paraquat, probably. Also, adding ammonium sulfate on top of your already added surfactant and water conditioner seems to be helping. And the big thing is crop rotations to provide cover and crop competition on at least 3/4 of your acres. Our half and half crop fallow guys, those are the ones that are having the biggest problem because they're depending on the fallow to control the kochia every other year. If you start integrating peas and other crops into your rotation and you're cropping 3/4 of your land instead of half and half, that's been a huge help in the weed control area. And most of our producers that have rotations of different crops that are used in place of fallowing don't have as big of weed issues. That could even be a green manure crop that provides cover for that fallow ground instead of leaving a lot of open space for kochia to germinate. And then err on the side of spraying too early instead of waiting too late. It seems like we have a lot better luck anymore going out and spraying the fallow when it almost looks like we're wasting our time than certainly waiting till you can see weeds all over out in it. So the biggest thing by far for effective weed control is fall spray, especially for cheatgrass, foxtail barley, screwing up the seed set on kochia and Russian thistle. This operation about this time of year on the fallow on the entire farm, actually in the stubble, is the best thing you can do to control weeds. The other thing that's come about is there's been bugs in the kochia. There's certain insects that bore into the stem of the kochia plant that will reduce your kochia control. So if you have just random plants out there that the Roundup or the Roundup Anvil didn't seem to kill, split the stem of the plant right down the middle. If there's bugs or kind of some chewed up stuff in the middle of the plant, then that means it won't translocate the chemical very well anymore. You're pretty much down to paraquat at that point.